Hey guys, Tammy here. And in this video, I'm going to give you 3 techniques for disarming a narcissist. Okay. This should come in very, very handy, especially in your communication with them. I know when we're dealing with a narcissistic co-parent, it's sort of like this just ongoing drudgery of all the little nitpicky issues that come up and just the constant harassment, the constant stress, that constant knot in the pit of your stomach every time one of those little message notifications pops up from them, right? So I'm going to give you 3 tips for trying to hopefully make this go a little bit smoother. Now, if you like my content, don't forget to hit like on this video and also subscribe to the channel so that you get notified as new videos are released. I understand that about 70% of our viewers aren't subscribed, okay? So imagine how much that would do for my subscriber count if you subscribe. And then the more more subscribers I have, the more content I make, and we all benefit, right? That's how that works. Okay. One of the first things I want to say about this is I think when we talk about this and we say, disarming the narcissist, it's sort of manipulating them in a way, right? It's kind of a form of that, I'll say. But here's the difference. We aren't trying to disarm them or manipulate in this way in order to cause harm to another person, right? And I think that that's what happens from the narcissist side is they're trying to do things and manipulate people in a way that causes harm to those people, furthers their own agenda and all that kind of thing. And I don't want you to do this in a morally deficient way. I don't want you to do this in a morally deficient way where we are, doing it for selfish gain or we're doing it to harm the other person or any of that kind of thing. But I think that you do have to understand the psyche of the narcissist and how to deal with them effectively so that you can protect yourself and protect your children and try to minimize conflict with them as much as possible, because conflict is the most harmful thing for the children. So the more that we can keep that at bay, the better outcome our children are going to have. So the first thing that really works with a narcissist is stroking their ego. Okay. And so let me give you an example of what this might look like. Let's say that you think the other parent works, so too many hours and that they don't really have time for parenting, and that the children would benefit if they had one less weekday visit, whether it's an overnight or dinner visit or whatever, because of just the lack of time that your co-parent has anyway. Okay, so I think most people would send some kind of message that says something like, we all learn that best interest phrase and we start slapping it on everything. And let me just tell you, don't do that. That's not what this video is about, but don't use that term for then everything that you say. And that's what people do. Best interest is a legal definition. Okay. And that's a whole nother video, like I said, that I'm not going to get into here. But when we start to come at it from that perspective, a lot of times we'll send something that says something like, it's really hard for the children to get their homework done. They don't have enough time. They get home late, and I think it would be in their best interest if we had one less dinner visit for per week, because they're exhausted and they're not getting enough rest. Okay. I think that's kind of the tack that we take. And if you can just do something as simple as start it with a compliment. Okay. And I can just, blah, right? I already hear you like almost vomiting into the video. My late husband used to say, you want to be so nice, it makes you just a little bit sick to your stomach. Okay. So if we're accomplishing that, we're probably kind of in the right zone. But what that would look like in the same type of scenario, if we were going to try to stroke their ego, is we would say something like, hey, look, I know that, you have a really, really busy work schedule. And I know this time of year is a really heavy workload for you. And I think that the kids sense that too. And I know you're trying real hard to get here for all the dinner visits and everything. But I'm thinking that, the quality time is really more important than anything else. And so if we decrease your dinner visits by one evening each week, then it would give you a little bit more relief from your work schedule, from your work perspective. And it would also give the children an extra night for homework and a little extra rest and the things that they're kind of struggling around. The difference in the tone of that, just from acknowledging at the very beginning, like I'll have people that'll say things like, well, the other parent just works 60 plus hours a week and they don't show up for their parenting time, or they, whatever. And I'm like, well, instead of framing it in this negative of like, oh, all they care about is work. All they care about is work and money, and they never show up and they work umpteen hours a week and blah, blah, blah. Instead of framing it in that context, the way you do with the co-parent is really similar to how you deal with the court and court experts. You kind of say, gee, you know what? This parent is such a hardworking parent. They invest so much into their work. They've been such a great provider or financial contributor to the family. I know that puts a lot of pressure on them. And I really think that realistically, a good parenting schedule for them is every other weekend and a 1 weekday dinner visit, because that really allows them to kind of be able to manage their workload and still be able to have that quality time with the kids. So you see how I've just kind of framed that in sort of a very positive way, and not like attacking them for like not having the time to parent, right? I'm saying the same thing. I'm just coming at it from that little different angle. And when you can do it in that way and it sort of strokes your co-parent's ego, I'm not saying that will work every time, but I'm saying that it will get you a lot further in the discussion and give you a much, much higher chance of agreement than it will if you attack them, right? There's that saying of don't diss the narcissist. There's a reason for that. Most of the time, narcissistic people have very fragile egos and they're actually pretty insecure most of the time. And so when you start messages that are more attacking in that way, that cause them to feel even more insecure, that is not usually a recipe for success. The next thing that you want to do is to give them a sense of control. Okay. And really it's a false sense of control, but if they feel like things are their idea or were within their decision making or their control of the situation or whatever, you're going to be a lot more likely to get agreement or cooperation, or at least a discussion. One of the ways I describe this is I say, this is like when you have a toddler. Okay. And if you have a baby and they haven't reached toddler stage yet, well, then this is a lesson that you can use then. But for those of you that have had toddlers, you know how a lot of times we're taught, okay, if you have a toddler that's a power child, right? And I have one child that's a power child. And one of the things they teach you is, okay, you don't ask the child, like, what do they want to wear? And then they go in and they pick out like non-matching shirt and pants and whatever, right? Like some parents deal with that by just going, okay, wear whatever you want, I don't care, right? And some parents, engage in the battle with the child of, that's not appropriate and these two things don't match and it doesn't go together. Or, you're wanting to wear shorts and it's, 40 degrees out, so I'm going to fight with you over putting pants on you. I'm not just going to let you do whatever you want to do. The best way to handle that is to give them an option, okay? So if it's 40 degrees and rainy and you know that they need to wear pants and a long sleeve shirt today and closed-toed shoes because there's going to be water everywhere, then you lay out two appropriate outfits that meet all that criteria. And then you take the toddler in and you say, okay, would you like to wear this or would you like to wear this? You still narrowed that down, but that toddler feels a sense of control because they're getting to choose which one of those they want, okay? And this is the same kind of thing when you're dealing with a narcissistic person. So when they come and like, let's say that they want to change the pickup time from 5 to 6 p.m. Can I have to work late on Friday? Can I change the pickup time to 6 p.m.? Then instead of you just saying, well, the court order says 5, and this is really a problem for me because I have other plans. And, you're just now letting me know, and this is the last minute and blah, 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 blah. Like all the things that I typically see clients say, not going to solve the problem. You have to get solution focused, okay? And give them a sense of control over that situation. And I would say, even if you're the one asking to change it, give them 2 options off the bat that you can live with, and then just go with whichever one they choose. That gives them a sense of control of it. So back to my original example, if they wanted to switch the pickup time, I might say, hey, unfortunately, I can't do 6 p.m. I have to be somewhere by that time, but I'm happy. I could wait till 5:30 if you think you could be here by then, or I'm happy to meet you somewhere at 6:30 to drop them off, or I'm happy to drop them off at your house at 6:30, or whatever. Give two alternatives to that problem if you can. I know that you can't always come up with two solutions, but if you can, it's a good thing to do because it creates that false sense of control for them, okay, which is really good at helping you try to get cooperation from them. The last thing that you can do is, and this one's kind of a little bit more surreptitious, but leverage their insecurities. Like, what things are they worried about? Are they worried about not getting parenting time? Are they worried about money, how much things cost? I hear that from people a lot. All my ex cares about is money. I hear that phrase over and over. Well, if that's really true, then let's provide solutions when we're in negotiations that would potentially give them more money. Let's say that you're going to get child and spousal support. You could say, I'd be happy to take less spousal support or waive it or do whatever, even if we do this parenting arrangement, if you think that that's really their issue. Or sometimes if you're on the opposite end where you're paying the narcissistic person, then maybe you say, hey, I'll give you this little bit extra, if we do this parenting plan. I can remember, again, my late husband doing, with his ex-wife where he said, you know what? I gave more on the financial side because I wanted that equal parenting time because I wanted to be involved with the children. And so his trade-off was the money. So you have to really leverage the things that they feel insecure around or things that they don't want to be exposed over, right? If they're the type of narcissistic person that wants to have this like perfect image and cares what people think and all these kinds of things, then anything that has the potential to sully their reputation becomes a problem. So maybe in that situation, you suggest mediation or, some form of alternative resolution that doesn't involve going into the court and airing the dirty laundry, right? That would be one of those things that you could leverage to get, a faster, cheaper, frankly, better outcome in your case than you would probably get going through litigation. So figuring out what their little points of insecurity are and leveraging those, okay? I hope those 3 techniques are helpful. You want to stroke their ego, create a false sense of control. I find that one is really fantastic. People are amazed most of the time at how well that works. And then leverage their insecurities, particularly when you're going to negotiate. I think that one in particular is really, really helpful. So if you'd like to get more negotiation tips on how to negotiate with your narcissist or how to deal with them in general, you can go to divorceuniversityonline.com/VIP-coaching. There is a video on that page. It'll give you more information about my coaching programs, give you the option to book a call if you need more information, and I'll talk to you guys soon.